I'm panicking a little bit as I type this, but I'll try to explain the best I can. There's a family standing in my driveway. I don't know who they are or why they're here, but I know that they're dangerous. I woke up to a tapping on the window above my bed. It was such a faint tap 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 that if it wasn't dead silent inside my house, I wouldn't be able to hear it. I stared at my blinking alarm clock sat on my bedside table, telling me that it was 1:13 a.m. I assumed the tapping was just the wind or something, so I could eventually fall back asleep, but when I started to doze off, the tapping got louder. I pulled my blinds down until I heard a click, and guided them upward to have a look outside. I saw a woman who looked to be about 15, with her face against the frosted glass. She had her hands and her chest pressed against the glass as well, and I watched as she used her long slender nails to tap in intervals of 3. Her long black hair covered her forehead and eyebrows and draped down her shoulders. She was wearing barely anything except for a thin red spaghetti strap top and a short black skirt, despite it being the middle of winter, and she was so unbearably skinny that she looked like she hadn't eaten in weeks. I panicked and pulled the blinds back down before sprinting to my right, down the hallway, and into my living room before turning the light on and checking to make sure both my front and back doors were locked. After doing that, I walked back to my living room and sat on the white couch, staring at my wooden front door. In front of me was another large window with the blinds pulled all the way down. I suddenly felt the urge to look outside, and once again pulled the blinds down until I heard the familiar click, and guided it upwards, but what I saw made me freeze. Not necessarily out of fear, but more out of confusion. I should probably mention that my house is sat on a hill, so my living room and kitchen is above my garage with stairs leading up to my front door, and sort of a ledge in front of my bedroom, so I was looking down at my driveway at this point. I saw that same young woman that I saw at my bedroom window, but this time, she wasn't alone. She was standing next to a few more people this time. An older man and an older woman. Both looked to be in their mid-50s. And 2 young boys, most likely twins, who looked to be about 10. They looked like the stereotypical perfect family. I stared down at them as they stood as still as statues, looking at my garage. I eventually found the courage to step away from the window, basically tiptoeing away. But as my foot reached the ground, I heard the floor make a loud creak. The family snapped their heads around to face me. I stood there for a few seconds, not knowing what to do, before I bolted to my bedroom. I grabbed my cell phone from my bedside table before sprinting to my bathroom and locking myself inside. I dialed 911 and sat against the white door waiting for anybody to answer. After what felt like an eternity, somebody picked up. 911, what's your emergency? The man asked in a hoarse voice. Hello, my name is Jade Lockwood, and there's a family in my driveway. I stuttered. I think they're dangerous or maybe insane or something. I don't know. Okay, ma'am. Lock yourself in the nearest room and tell me your address. The man said. 142 Stockholm Street, I told him, and I'm in the bathroom. As I shook in fear, I heard glass shatter from my kitchen. I put my phone down on the floor silently and covered my mouth as I sobbed. There was a family standing in my driveway. Now, there was a family standing in my house. Back in 2019, right at the beginning of COVID, I became quite isolated from my family and friends. It suited me at the beginning, but little did I know that my curiosity would forever scar me mentally. I would often upload YouTube videos of myself browsing the dark web for fun, and until December 4th of this year, as usual, I'd have a brief run-through of user-submitted links to make sure everything was okay for YouTube and its rules. I must have been about 45 links down when I clicked it. The link opened a new tab and a video began to play. I could see one person lying on a bed, and another one hooded and masked standing over the top of him on the right side of the bed. And that's when he proceeded to stab the person laying down over and over again. At first, it didn't faze me. I've seen videos like this before. I thought until the person finished stabbing the body, got up, and then began to cut through the meat around the arms and legs. The bed now covered in blood, and the hooded masked man showing each body part to the camera. I sat through the first 7 minutes thinking to myself, this is a disturbing video to say the least, until I realized that it wasn't just a pre-recorded video, it was actually a live stream. And just as the masked man finished his work, he stopped and walked towards the camera, reaching into his pocket and placing it directly in front of the camera. "You're next." The panic set in, and I jumped back from my laptop. That's when I realized my camera was on. The screen went black and my name, address, and telephone number in big white letters flashed on the screen. I quickly pressed the power button, but it did nothing. I slammed my laptop shut, turned it over, and ripped the battery out. In my panic, I actually destroyed the laptop, which was stupid. But I wanted that to be the end of it. A few weeks had gone by, and even though I was paranoid beyond belief, I thought it was probably just someone messing around, and I was headed out to the shop just down the road when I bumped into someone. I felt a sharp prick on my hand as we collided. Thinking nothing of it, I continued towards the shop until my legs began to buckle from under me. I knew what had happened. I'd been spiked when we bumped into each other. Everything around me started to go black. I tried fighting the drug, but the drug finally took over, and I collapsed in the street. I thought I was done for until I woke up in the hospital a few hours later, dazed and confused. Panic set in and the doctors had to restrain me until I calmed down. They told me I'd been given some drug to knock me out and proceeded to give me my stuff back. There was a note that read, "Never come back to the dark web. This is your one and only warning." Ever since that day, I've stayed clear of the dark web. But even now, I still feel as though I'm being watched.